Hello, welcome to another video.
Oh yeah.
This one is about something that we picked up at Salute and we've been banging on about for a little while. BattlegroundHD. This is a rule set that's developed from Battleground World War II, which our previous video or the video before we did a little chat about. But first off, I'd like to say a really big thanks to Brad Saunders, who supplied me effectively with, well, like a press pack with all of the stuff. Really appreciated. And certainly, I don't know about you, Alex, but at Salute, that was my high point. We played one of the Cold War scenarios that they had running. Excellent system. I mean, I've always liked it from Battleground, and this is a really nice sort of improvement, really. The bones are there. If you've played Battleground World War II, you'll easily pick this system up, and they've streamlined it beautifully with the system using battle dice and defense dice, which we'll talk about when we go down and I'll describe the systems. That's basically what we're going to do. We'll go down to the table. We'll have a look at it. The system's obviously going to be really well supported. The quality of the publications and the graphics and things like that's excellent. And certainly there was a ton of interest at Salute. And I think it'll just hopefully it'll run from strength to strength. And once again, big thanks to Brad and the Battleground team for sorting that out. It was good, really great to meet him. So what we'll do now is we'll go down to the table and have a look at the books. Right, so this is what me and Alex picked up at Salute, the BattlegroundHD stuff. Core rule book, Hunters on the Ho Chi Minh Trail, and also the book Red Horizon, which is basically covers the Cold War in Europe, about 1984. Markers that BattlegroundHD can supply, cards in relation to Hunters in the Ho Chi Minh. These cards here are in relation to Red Horizon. Some templates for the system, and also the dice that we'll explain in a bit more detail later. So what I thought I'd do is just quickly go into close-up and obviously just have a brief look at the stuff. Right, the core rule book. This is obviously the hard copy. Really nice illustration on the front cover, and very interestingly, it's obviously got SF guy from Vietnam, the Swedish K, Soviet, usable, well, could be the Cold War or Afghanistan, Israeli soldier, and at the top, what to me looks very much like a Falkland Sparrow, which is good news for the system, if that's the way it's going to go. So, core rule book. Basically, it's very well written. It's done, goes through everything sequentially, as you can see from the index, and it covers, well, you can see from this index, an excellent, the contents, describes everything, all the subsectors. Also, a really nice touch, there's these QR codes, which link to videos. BattlegroundHD have got quite a large amount of videos, how to play videos on their website. And rather than me describing you how the intricacies of the system, it's much more straightforward to view the videos. So what we're doing here is I thought we'd just have a quick flick through. Goes through everything. There's unit cards, which have got the basic stats of the units. And then the other thing that they do is you have weapons cards, which cover the stats for the various weapons. Unit morale, basically running from bad to worse, scared unit, shaky unit, untested unit, regular, focused and fanatic. Covers briefly the chain of command. That's an example of a weapons card there. And basically everything's covered in detail. Now, the nice thing that I wanted to briefly talk about, in the original system, Battleground, when you fired in anything, you rolled to hit. There was a number of modifiers. You then got your hits, and then what you would do is roll to see the result. Fairly straightforward system, but obviously there was lots of modifiers to add, and I know if you're like me, a lot of people then, oh god, right, that, and you go through it and you end up having to recheck to make sure you've added the correct ones. So what they've actually come up with this battle dice idea, and what basically that is, it's getting rid of those two tables and replacing them with battle dice. So the way it works, I'll flip that over so you can get an idea, is that whenever you fire at anything, depending on the rate of fire, how you fire, the system, I'll quickly flip back. You probably can't see it. I'll bring the rules up and see if you can see it a bit closer. So rate of fire, standard, burst and full auto. This is for as an example of a Vickers machine gun. So these little squares here, there's white squares, yellow squares, orange squares, red squares and black squares. They're the amount of dice that you're going to roll. Now there is an option if you don't want to. What I've done is basically with the core rulebook, you get a slip of stickers that you can put on blank coloured dice. However, if you didn't want to do that, there's also a conversion table. So probably the easiest way to do it would be to just buy coloured dice. Obviously D6s 1 to 6. These numbers here, 4, 5 and 6, gives you the results. Now the results for the attack dice can range from pins to break checks, wounds, heavy wounds, KIA and gory death. There's also so the attacker will roll those, but the defender has his defensive dice, and they range from light defensive dice, medium defensive dice, and heavy defensive dice. The amount of those is defined by the rules, so basically it depends what cover you're on and what you're doing. So the attacker rolls a set of dice, defender rolls a set of dice. All of the results have a dot underneath, and it can be 1 dot, 2 dots or 3 dots. Obviously the defense dice give you a sequence of dots, and basically the number of dots you have cancels out the attack dice, and so you're left with a number of results. So what I did, I'll show you here, I bought a series of blank dice, basically, from a company in the UK, and obviously with the stickers you can just pop them on, and I just thought that'll be a lot quicker rather than referring to a table, having a look what the results would be. So this section of the rules, it massively speeds up play. It really, really does. Me and Alex played at Salute, and it had a really big impact on how quick the turns went round. And I think it's a really, really good advancement for the system. Then covers morale, fieldcraft, movement, all the way through infantry combat. That they also supply, which are here, some templates, and they're to cover things like your target group template, graze and fire, grenade templates, an area of effect template in relation to HD. It also lists the various markers and the company do a pack of those laser cut plastic markers if that's the way you want to go. Obviously, me and Alex tend to use terrain ones. We've got quite a few now, just so it blends in with the terrain. But the markers they got would work absolutely ideally. It's just it just depends what you want to do. There's obviously quick reference sheets on, and all the way through, as I mentioned, there's these QR codes that give you links to videos, which is a really, really great idea. So the basic rules, the core rulebook itself covers how the system works. As I mentioned, they've done a couple of scenario books. The one that we used at Salute covers the Cold War in Europe, which is Red Horizon, the Battle for Solshen. Obviously, you can see Flank March were involved with this, which is well, it's a really good idea for both companies. So having a quick flick through here, again, lovely illustrations, very, very nicely produced. QR codes throughout again. So it's fully supported by Flank March Miniatures and Bob Mac 3D, who does some absolutely superb 3D vehicles. Modern wargamers will be aware of them. Some really, really nice stuff. It's one of the main drivers for me and Alex getting a 3D printer. I think the stuff's so good. So it gives you a little bit background of this town where the scenarios will be based. See from the link, it's just in the over the East German border into West Germany. Little campaign which gives you how to follow on with the scenarios and what the various victory points mean. Nice little British narrative, a Soviet narrative, like all sort of games me and Alex play, a lot of them, this narrative drive on the game is really important. I think that helps a lot. Section on the terrain, how that affects everything. You can see these colours refer to the cover dice that we talked about earlier. Scenario, what you're doing, you're looking at maybe well, you'd probably get a lot of the scenarios on a 3x4 board, so you're not looking at large areas. British orders, Soviet orders, second scenario, again orders, and the third scenario with their set of orders. Really, it's just really, really well produced. So it then goes on to the various units. So it's a Soviet motorized rifle company and platoons. So that's an example of your squad at the top. So that gives you tells you what the field craft and the morale is. They're regular. The way initiative runs is off cards. So what you can do, you can just use a normal set of playing cards and basically allocate a unit. Ace of spades. You can use obviously black colours and red colours for the sides, and then just allocate the cards to various ones. However, what they do, I'll show you the cards that I picked up. So these are the Soviet ones. So you've got lettered squads, obviously going all the way through from A. So Unit A, Unit B, all the way up to O, and likewise for the British forces, and that would be tied in to whatever the unit was. Also within the card, which I thought was quite a nice touch, they produce a set of that's a vehicle target, action sequence, unit morale, awareness checks, shoot action summary, lob action summary. Lob actions are things like grenades and anything that's sort of like that, so grenade launchers. Game term summary, your battle dice, so your defensive dice, and your attack dice, and basically the type of checks. So that's quite a nice little touch that they add with the cards. And the chart below the rifle squad, that's your weapons chart. So that's running from PM pistol, AK-74, RPK-74, SVD sniper rifle, RPD, and the PKM. what I mentioned before, these are the colours for the attack dice. So rate of fire standard, rate of fire burst, rate of fire full auto. Depending on what you do, these can add modifiers. So if you do a standard rate of fire, you're not going to get a modifier on your roll. If you do a burst, you're going to get a slight modifier. Obviously, if you do a full auto burst, you're going to get a slightly bigger modifier. These, obviously, the longer the burst is, the more attack dice you're going to have. Each column's divided into 2 halves. So if you've basically hit or if you've missed, obviously if you missed, what you're going to be looking at is cause and suppression and pins. So that's the way that's done out. Pardon me. Access support pack, another QR code. So that allows you to take you to the store and you can basically get a free download for the British and Soviet cards ready to print. Nice little section at the end, all about the tactics of both sides, some visual stats of the organisation, then goes on to the British Army of the Rhine, again a QR code, British doctrine, how it's organised, similar to the Soviet one, and at the end you've got an example here of your of the lob weapons. So all in all, really really nicely done. And the other thing that we picked up was they do a really nice Vietnam pack, Hunters on the Ho Chi Minh. This is about Mac V SOG interdicting the Ho Chi Minh Trail. So it's special forces, very low level. Similar to the others, really, really well organised. And it's basically Mac V SOG were involved in raids into Laos and Cambodia, interdicting the Ho Chi Minh Trail. So you're looking at very small special force teams on the Ho Chi Minh Trail with the North Vietnamese army trying to track them. Some really, really good scenarios in this. The nice thing about this pack is you don't need a massive amount of figures. If you're looking at a Mac V SOG team, you might only need 6 figures. The Empress miniatures actually do a pack that's basically ready to go in their Vietnam range. And once again, it covers all of the everything that you need to do. Little history on a Mac V SOG. At the back of the book, which I'll just get you where I was, there's some additional rules. What they do as well, they do an automated initiative for the North Vietnamese. With the system, you get another pack of cards, which I'll briefly show you. Again, really nicely produced, and this basically is how you use the initiative. So you can see the things for activation. You've then got various things if basically the North Vietnamese are aware, or whether they're unaware, or whether they're alert, that differentiates as to what they're going to do in the table. So I thought that was a really, really clever little addition to the system, and it works great for what you've got here, which is obviously your special forces teams in enemy held territory, and it works really, really well. So that's basically about it. As an example, what I wanted to show you, Alex printed off one of the basically the weapon sheets, and this is for a Soviet SPG-9 team, just so I could sort of show you in a bit more detail. You can print these off, get them laminated. It's got all the information on, and in close up you can see in relation to the dice what dice you're throwing. The system, it's just really, really well supported. The graphics are absolutely superb, really, really well done, and it's just as I said, it's just a really nice system to play. So me and Alex will be playing this a lot. We've got everything crossed for the system to progress, obviously the South Atlantic. But 10 out of 10 from Battleground, cracking system. Right, there we are. We're looking forward to getting kicking off with the first game on. We haven't decided what we're gonna do, but we'll get that sorted. As I mentioned when we had a flip through, I didn't really think there was much point in me in going into masses of detail about how the system works, because if you have a look at their website, I'll put a link in the description. There's masses of videos on how to play, and they obviously describe it a lot better than I could. So that's the way to go if you're at all interested. Have a look at that. They are obviously based in the States. The other thing that I wanted to mention was that there's what I understand is going to happen is Simon at Full Metal Miniatures in the UK will be stocking the BattlegroundHD stuff, which is great news. There is an option to download stuff, but if you're like me, I prefer having the physical books rather than downloads. I mean, that's unavoidable sometimes, but I think the physical books are better. So if you've just found we're from some link, welcome. Thanks very much for having a look at the video. If you're interested in subscribing, you can do that at the end of the video. There's a small button will appear in the bottom right hand corner with a Modern British Infantryman on. If you click that, you'll be subscribed. As normal, thanks for all the help, thanks for all the good and kind words, and if there's any queries at all about anything, just drop a comment in and me and Alex will do our best to answer them. And coming up next, we're both working on the Kickstarter figures. I've as I mentioned, I think I've done I tend to do them in units. I've cleaned up, primed the first sort of 10 figures that I'm going to use for a generic squad, although that's obviously open to shrinkage. I only in 28mm I only like to tend to paint maybe 4 or 5 figures at one time, because I just find that's the way I like to do it. So coming up next, I'll do a showcase video on the first 5 British paras that I've completed.
I was going to say, you're just about nearly done with them, aren't
you? Yeah, they're just, I think the varnishing stage, I've just gloss polyed them, so they'll be coming up very soon. We'll try to spread the videos out so that they're coming out at a fairly regular pace. So there we are. I think that's it, Alex, isn't it? Yeah.
Sounds good.
We'll let you get on. Once again, thanks for all the support.
Thanks for tuning in.
And we'll see you next time.
See you next time, folks.